If you want to learn more about prophecies and predictions, I just guide you to look at this material. Michael Horn is an expert on that. You will see a lot of information from him. He's following a lot of predictions, if they were fulfilled or not. He has a good and excellent documentaries. One of them is As the Time Fulfills. You may see there 100 predictions, and something that he said that's going to happen, it really happened. Another interesting video that you can see is the silent Revolution of Truth. Both of them are available in YouTube. You can go there and watch them. If you are new in the Billy Mayer material, just go to the silent Revolution of Truth at the beginning. It shows a lot of information from that case. So that's very interesting that you can keep looking at that. So that's something that you can look at. All right? Let's talk about a little bit about time. Go back to see what is time. Is time a 4 dimensions? You know what is 1 dimension? 1 dimension is 1 line. Let's say from left to right, this is 1 dimension. Another 2 dimensions, the second dimension is probably from the front to the back, so perpendicular to this one. So you have a plane. A plane is in 2 dimensions. And the third dimension is going from the bottom to the top, so up and down. So you have the third dimension, so you have a 3-dimensional space. So that's what we could understand, or can we understand with our brain, a 3-dimensional figure. Because we see it, we move around, and we are used to work with 3-dimensional figures. So we see that they have some volume, right? Okay, so what do you think that there is a 4th dimension? Where is that 4th dimension? Because if left to right, front to back, and up, down, the 4th dimension, where it is? Just think about a 4th dimension. What happens if time is the 4th dimension? So can we imagine that time as a 4th dimension? I mean, if you have a spaceship and you want to travel on the universe, and you set up the console of your spaceship, and you select the place where you want to go, for example, Alpha Centauri, probably Proxima Centauri, that is the nearest star to the sun, and you set up the coordinates, but you have to also to select the time. Do you want to arrive there right now, or in 3 years, or in 1,000 years, or 1,000,000 years ago? So you can select also time. This is the 4 dimensions. Okay, to understand that, if the time is a parameter or is a 4 dimension, I'm going to show you an example of a parameter. Parameter is something that if you change it, you see different stages. For example, a parameter, if you are looking at a movie, one parameter would be the number of the SN. SN number 1, SN number 2, SN number 3, or the timeline, 1 hour and 32 seconds, 1 hour and 32 minutes. So you just set up 1 hour and 32 minutes and you see the manifestation at this parameter. So to give you an example, this is a parameter. This is Leo, 4 months old. Let's change the parameter. This is Leo, 10 months old. So it's the same person, the same guy, but it's just a different age. Leo, 9 years old. I changed the parameter. Now Leo on 16 years old, and 23 years old, 44 years old. It's the same guy, but with a different parameter. We are changing that. So we are changing the time, so it's the guy that is transforming. So you say, okay, show me Leo 9 years old. That's it. Just change the dial and you see different parameters. So this is a parameter. Some scientists said that time could not be a 4 dimension if we cannot move in time. It's a parameter. A dimension is something that you can move in that dimension, in that directions. So if we are able to travel in time, so time becomes a 4th dimension. Okay, in order to understand all that, I'm going to give you an analogy. Because our 3-dimensional brain cannot think on a 4th dimension, so I'm going to just put you on the level of a 2-dimensional being, just looking the 3rd dimension. So in this three-dimensional space, let's suppose I have 4 beautiful people. The first one is called Sven. Sven has a very nice shape. It's very symmetrical. Let me introduce you Connie. Connie is a nice lady with a nice form. The fourth person that I'm going to introduce you is Kurt. It's another type of manifestation of shape. And the last one is Donna. It's like a toroidal figure. So these 4 guys are three-dimensional people. But let's suppose that we cut that one in with a plane, horizontal plane. So we have different snapshots, different personalities that change on the time. So in one case, when you cut horizontally, you see that in one moment of time, Kurt looks like a square, Connie looks like an ellipsoid, Sven logically looks like a circle, and Donna, quite interesting. We see 2 Donnas. Wow. That means the same guy could be on the same place at the same time? That imagine that you have a time machine. In 5 years, somebody just developed that, a friend of yours, and invite you to his home. Oh, I developed this time machine. Do you want to travel? Oh, yes, tell me. When do you want to go? Okay, let's go back a few years to meet myself. So you can go back on time, and you just appears in front of you. Probably you will be scared to see yourself, because yourself coming from the future in front of you will be scary. But you will have 2 manifestations of the same person at the same time. Oh, that's quite interesting. So we can have probably this 2 snapshots of the same person at some point of time. That's a possibility. So these are the guys that I am introducing you. These are 2-dimensional people. They are living an experience in this 2-dimensional space, but this is a temporal experience. In order for them to understand what is going around, I'm going to put them some brains. With that brain, they can record everything. They can see everything. But that brain is a flat brain. It's not a 3-dimensional brain. So that flat brain can think only in 2 dimensions, not in 3 dimensions. So it's not possible to teach, for example, Sven, what is the 3rd dimension, because his brain is flat. If his brain is flat, he can only understand flat surfaces, not a 3-dimensional space. So this is just a specific moment. So imagine that what you see around, the people that you see around, is just a snapshot. Think about somebody that you don't like. Oh, that guy, I don't like that guy. Think about that. This is just a personality that you see at this moment. Now think about somebody that you really like it so much, somebody very special in your life. This is another personality. So what we see are snapshots of human beings. What we see is different manifestations of the same being. So these 3-dimensional spheres are the real person, but what we see in this life is just a snapshot. So every time you see a human being, or an animal, or a plant, just imagine that what you are seeing at this moment is just a snapshot. It's not what that person really is. We will be able to see how that human being is going to be in the future, how that human being is going to be in the future lives, how this human being has been in previous lives. All his evolution will have a good idea of what he or she really is. So imagine that the personality that you see in other people is not reality. It's just a snapshot, a little information. But just imagine that probably he's been living some experience before, and who will be living more experience before. If we are able to understand that 4th dimension, that is time, we will be able to understand the greatness of the human beings. The human beings are very special if we see all the evolutions. Just think about that person that you don't like it. Imagine how that person is going to be in the future. The experience that he will be living. He will be more evolved. He will be more wise. So will be somebody very, very special. So if we are able to see that, we will be able to see the real person. So that analogy helps us to understand a little bit about what is time. Time is just, is not an illusion, probably it's a fourth dimension that we are not able to fully understand with our brain.